All right. I want to welcome everybody out to BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio. Today I have a guest all the way from the East Coast, the one and only Ramon Ray. Ramon, thanks for coming out today.
Tyler, you are so welcome. Thanks for having me, and I'm excited to be here all the way from the East Coast.
All the way. Now, that's the fun thing about technology is it bridges the gap. What do other people think Ramon Ray is? Who is Ramon Ray?
Meaning that's truthful or that's not truthful? Because I do have two sides that people think I do this sometimes. Which one would you like?
I want to hear first what other people tell you they see you as, and then I want to hear what you see you as.
Okay. Some people see me as a consultant. I leave the stage. Oh, great. So where's the time and fee link, whatever that thing is, where I pay my money? Some people think I'm a consultant. That's usually what people think I am. And the other half of the people don't really know. They know Ramon does stuff, but they don't know, which is a fair question. So how do you make your money? That's the other half of the question.
All right. So if Ramon Ray gets to answer the question himself, who is Ramon?
Sure. Ramon is first and foremost an entrepreneur. I've started a few companies, and I'm happy to say I did sell a company, which is a mark of distinction for us entrepreneurs.
Yep.
I'm also a speaker. So a large part of my revenue comes from speaking around the globe about entrepreneurship, how to start, and et cetera. And as you know, Tyler, it's not just the speaking. A few million of us can do that, but in my way of it, it's a little funny, at least I think it is to myself on stage. In essence, I work with, and the third thing I do is really work with large brands and help them better reach small businesses. So all the brands that you know that are selling something to small businesses and banking, largely technology software, many of them I work with to speak or to do Twitter chats or podcast or host their events. That's the nutshell, which is, I feel, too long of what Ramon does.
I get it. I like it. And so let's go hit the time machine a little bit.
Sure.
What was your first entrepreneurial venture?
Sure. The first one was ugly yellow business card with red lettering and a black line across because you had to go to Minuteman, I think. There was no Vistaprint or any online. You went to the local printer, right?
Yep.
So that was Family Computer Consulting Services. Prior to domain and search, I don't even think it's searchable. It was, I'd say, Tyler, 20 years ago. I said broadly, sure. 25 years maybe. Family Computer Consulting. It's a small little computer consulting company, travel agents and others that I went in there and, you can't get Microsoft Access to work? Let me find some code or get a big book, Sam's, I think it was called, from Barnes and Nobles, and find the code and how to do an access form. And that's what I did.
So the number one thing was just really finding people that needed help and you were serving them. That's it.
That's right.
Cool. How did you bridge that into who you are today?
Yeah, good question. And there's a lot of bridges, Tyler.
I'm sure there are many. I just realized how big that Golden Gate Bridge was, or Brooklyn Bridge, or wherever we're at.
Exactly. Both of them.
Yeah. So let's take one of them. What was your big step from doing a small little consulting thing to more of a real business?
Sure. And the summary of it, and you can help me bring out as much as you want or as little, but the summary of it is, from consulting, I did like to educate. I had a tribe even then. I don't recall all the details, but I recall vaguely, Tyler, at the Jacob Javits Center, discovering the internet. And I'd always been on AOL and Prodigy and, for some time, but this was the beep, 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 shh, that was the internet,
Yep.
Then I got hooked into somehow Microsoft front page. 50% of your audience knows what that is. The other percent are like, what's that? Snapchat?
Yeah.
So that was my journey really into learning how to uploading content of some sort. Having a more public voice than just that. And the precursor to that, Tyler, because I had just started mailing paper newsletters to some of my clients. So I knew the aspect of being in touch. And really from there, I'm jumping, Tyler, like 4 million bridges now.
I'm sure.
But from there, really that launched into Ramon being some sort of speaker and people seeing what you do. And that's kind of the story goes.
So, obviously, we couldn't flush out the entire 25-year journey in a short show like this. But so now here you are, you're an expert and a speaker on personal branding and social media and things like this. What is kind of the essence of what you talk about in personal branding? What would you say is the most important thing someone needs to understand about their personal brand?
Absolutely. And to be clear, again, why I'm not a consultant, Tyler, because I must say there's more people who do this as a practitioner, even though I hate that word because I am a practitioner. But as you know, Tyler, I do it for myself. I'm telling people the journey, the story of how Ramon did it.
Right.
So that's the context that I share it. But I'd really say, Tyler, and I wish I had the paper in front of me. I forget things sometimes. I wrote down my principles, not for this call, but for some other things.
Sure.
And I really see it. A, do you have a story? You have to be able to say, I host a podcast. I have a book. I'm a best-selling author. I'm an entrepreneur. You have to have some story to tell. And I know we all have stories, Tyler, but what I mean by that is if you're just an accountant, nothing bad at that. So don't take it offense. You can help me. You can get me out of trouble here, Tyler.
It's okay. You're good so far.
You're right. If you're just an accountant, my point being, and you've not done anything, say, remarkable or anything that you can talk about in the media, you need to do that. Do something. So that's one. Once you have that story, and this is my journey, then you have to telegraph it. And mine has been through public speaking, starting small. I spoke for SCORE, the free government service, for many, many years. After that, Tyler, the rest then comes. Now, thanks to digital technology, you can now build your tribe, AKA Seth Godin, Gary, other people we talk to, and it just revolves. So that's really what I'd say. You have to have a story, some accolade. I interviewed the president. All this I'm saying I've done. Something that makes you see and remarkable. Start telling that story. Personally, I do think it has to be in person, at least how I've done it. After that, I'm just repeating myself. Then all these tools, videotape it, tweet it at events, then they come in. It's a beautiful circle.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Seth Godin. I know he's speaking at an event you're doing here soon, which we'll touch on in a little bit. But he definitely is one of those that always kind of preaches the doing remarkable things rather than just pushing, vanilla, right? You've got to be remarkable. You got to be the linchpin. You got to be all those things that. So when someone finds that story, and that's the beginning of the essence of their brand, right? That's the thing that makes them unique. The thing that makes them worth talking about, or the word, right? Remarkable, worth talking about. And so then you do all the actual mechanical parts of it, right? Where you engage in social media a certain way. What, I guess we could go kind of two different ways on this. Like, what are you doing? Or, what do you tell other people to do? So which way do you want to go? Which path do we take?
We'll mush them. And if it doesn't sound cohesive, you can make it sound cohesive.
All right.
But I mean, in essence, say, for example, my day today. I don't know when people will see this, but let's take the day today whenever we're taping it. So I went to a certain brand smartphone event. They're launching a dual screen smartphone, whatever it's worth. But what did I do? In the Uber cab, shot a video. When I got to then, shot more video. Some I posted on Twitter, some I posted on Facebook. Some I stitched together into a short little movie, tagged that big billion-dollar company. They're retweeting it. So what is that doing, Tyler, in this micro day-to-day? As you know, and you can help me say this better, it's promoting, sure, the Ramon Ray brand to a degree, but not so much that it's about Ramon. It's what I do. So you do that today, you do that next week. I'm on Tyler's show today, right? This is part of that, meaning I'm giving value to your audience, but all these little things together, more and more people are going to want to say, hey, Ramon, can we talk to you? Ramon, can you host an event? So I would tell Tyler, the dog veterinarian, the accountant, whoever, anybody this works, that's the key. Start taking pictures of you clipping, shaving your dog or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Well, and what you said is something I've been hearing a lot recently, which is that if you don't want to just go through your day-to-day, but document and share, right? Because if you are a dog groomer or whatever, your specialty is interesting to those who have dogs. It may not be interesting to everybody, but it's interesting to your market. And so if you can document and share, that creates content and creates traction. And you never, I guess one of the tough things is you've got guys like Gary Vee who have like 27 people on his media team. And then you've got solopreneurs, right? Opposite end of the spectrum.
Hello.
You can't do that amount of, like, how do you manage? So how do you personally, how does Ramon balance living the day-to-day, documenting the day-to-day, and actually still getting that content shareable?
Absolutely. And so I think at the top of my head, again, Tyler and I haven't scripted this. I think there's about 3 things I could say if I have to break this down, Tyler. There's some people who really what they do, let me pull up a hanger here. They're making hangers day to day. That's their job, Tyler. They're in the office. They're making hangers. They can't go out maybe like me and you, or they could grow to it. That's another thing we can touch on. But today, they can't do a podcast as you're doing. Their jam is being in the office 10 hours a day fulfilling orders. Your personal brand, you're going to have to start small. You can't be Ramon, may not be Tyler, but still take those photos, build the community. You be the hanger ninja. That's step 1. As you grow, now, and this is what I'm doing now, you may have a small team. You don't have to have 30 people like Gary, But Tyler, I do have a team, no matter how small. I have a designer. She's in somewhere on the West Coast, wherever Starbucks was started, one of those places. She's on the West Coast. I have my web guy. So meaning now, let's say the hanger person, Ramon, making this example. Now when I'm at Hangers Expo in the Javits, I can send the video to my team and they can help edit it. So as you grow, having some sort of team is important, and then it goes from there. Did I answer that a bit, Tyler?
Yeah, you did. And I think sometimes people want to go from zero to Gary Vee, but realizing that Gary Vee didn't go zero to Gary Vee. He was Gary Vaynerchuk first. Some of us still remember when he was Gary Vaynerchuk, even though, now his brand is Gary Vee and it works. It's easier to spell, all that kind of stuff. But that was a journey. It was a journey for him too. And you can't, you can learn from others and maybe move faster, but you can't just skip 20 years, right? Like you've got to, but the goal is to learn, hey, what worked? How can I model it? How can I accelerate? One thing that's always, please.
If I can add, Tyler, about Gary Vee, can I add just one thing?
Yeah.
I just want to say that. I mean, because we mentioned his name because he's the best visible example that we see. But Tyler, I would tell people who are starting, and I say this not in a negative way, just look at Tyler. Look at Ramon. I think Tyler, I would think, are much more reachable or approachable. There's only a few LeBron James. So we give Gary his props. And I say it because it's easiest. But ladies and gentlemen, I live in a small home in New Jersey. Not a rich guy. I don't have girls and cars behind me or something like that. But I'm doing my thing. And as you said, from my community, as Seth would say, the people who know and like what Ramon's doing, I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm living quite fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And one, you bring up the factor of comparison, right? I love the quote, comparison is the thief of joy, because we'll have this amazing accomplishment. We'll be so excited. And then we'll compare to someone who's in a different part of their own journey and be like, oh, but I didn't do that. Right now. And I agree with you. Modeling people doesn't always mean modeling just the one, the guy that's 7 standard deviations outside of the norm, right? Like go back to someone that's just in the next step, a year ahead of you, 2 years ahead of you, and model that and catch up first, and then reset your goals. I think that's a big thing for me, is remembering that when you hit a goal, set another big, great one, keep stretching.
Correct. And I'm looking at your setup here, Tyler. I'm like, maybe I should model after Tyler. My setup, I don't have, the issues we had before we started. So I'm learning from you just during the podcast. I do podcasts. I do things. I use like freeconferencecall.com.
Yeah.
Learn from each other. So
absolutely.
What you already said, everybody can't do everything as well. Everybody has a specialty and a way they do it. Just steal good ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Model what works and what works for you. The other part of that for me is always figuring out that just because someone else did something a certain way doesn't mean that's how I have to do it. If I'm going to take what works from it, but I'm also going to make it my own, or if my gut's saying do it a little bit different. Like I do videos, even though I'm on the radio, which a lot of people at the beginning thought was weird, but then I like to push my videos to LinkedIn, where I have a higher reach per video than other platforms, because it's business oriented and there's not a lot of video on there right now. So you get up, you're on stage, you're talking about personal branding. I have a question about personal branding.
Sure.
There is, so for me, we're going to go right on me. So I'm Tyler Jorgenson. I own tylerjorgenson.com, but I'm also BizNinja. So you are a perfect example of this. You are Ramon Ray, but you also have SmartHustle magazine. How do you balance those two to where you're getting enough exposure on both of them? And, how do you keep that together? What's your strategy?
It's a great question, Tyler, and I think it really depends on where one wants to go. So if I was advising Tyler, guys, I'm not advising him. If I was advising Tyler didn't hear that, guys.
Yeah.
Then, no, but seriously, I would say it depends on where Tyler, me, or any of us really want to go.
Sure.
Ninja or your corporate accounting name, if you want that to grow, be a company, be the next, hey, Mike McAllister's Profit First, or Gary Vee, or Steve Harvey, a brand on its own, that's going to take quite a bit of work in a good way, meaning you have to keep listening. BizNinja, which might be at the expense of Tyler. However, if you see going for the foreseeable future that Tyler really is the brand, and Tyler might sell tires tomorrow, he might do accounting, or he might be BizNinja, then I would probably, if I had, the short time to get something, I'd probably say Tyler. For myself, Tyler, let me ask you a question. Can you guess which one I push, or which one to me is the money for me? Which one I will never let go of? Would it be the Ramon brand or SmartHustle? If you had to just answer.
From my perspective, I see Ramon more than I see Smart Hustle.
And that's the answer. And I've realized, Tyler, I'm going through a reinvention myself. Smart Hustle, that's for my entrepreneurship. You and I interview entrepreneurs and things like that.
Yep.
That will live there. But at the end of the day, 2018, 2019, it's Ramon. Because for all you know, Ramon could have a TV show. Ramon could have a radio show. Ramon could,
right,
run anything. So really, it's for me. I'm happy with realizing it's Ramon because that's the skills I have. And I'm just not the guy to have a larger company with a staff. It's just, it doesn't make me happy. It's not my jam. So it would probably have to be Ramon in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think everyone goes through a little bit of that journey of self-discovery and like figuring out, okay, do I enjoy, there is a little bit of safety in hiding behind a brand, right? And a little bit more transparency and vulnerability if it's just you, if it's just Ramon or Tyler, right? We have to be like, okay, people are now going to they may not like me, as opposed to they may not like Smart Hustle or BizNinja.
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about why for 12 years now you've been doing a conference, and tell me about the conference.
I just love pain. I love debt. I love credit card expenses. I love losing money. Let's see, what else? Help me out, Tyler. What else do I love? I love people.
You probably really love working with caterers.
Yes. And I love people telling me their free ticket is too expensive. Although this year I solved that problem. So that's really why. But seriously, Tyler, it goes back to that buzz in me of community, man. I love bringing people together. Now I probably have to figure out a way to do it smarter and better. Maybe I'll come on your show again and talk about events or something. But really, I do it because I love people together. As you know, I go around the world. I'm on stages all over the place. I enjoy that. But there's nothing better than having a conference room with 200, 300 of my people, as we kind of hinted earlier, together in a room to hear great people. So I really like organizing events. I really do, Tyler. I enjoy it. It's like childbirth, which I've never done, but I have 2 kids. But producing it and doing it, it's a pain. Let's face it. But man, the moment that lights come on and people are in the room milling around with their badges, it's cool. And Tyler, second of all, it's part of my steps of personal branding. I didn't do it for that reason, by the way. Meaning the event 12 years ago, I wasn't. We all evolve. Right. But in hindsight, meaning, as I've been doing this longer, it is a personal branding play for Ramon. Now, I'm not going to stand up in front of the room and tell everybody, ha, 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 you're all here because no, not like that. It's just implicit. It's implicit. Yes.
Yeah, if you can put on that sort of an event, think what else you're capable of, right? And that credibility plays many directions. And it also helps yourself. Let's admit it, the entrepreneur has to battle themselves probably more than anybody else, right? So, you being able to look up and look at the fruits of your labors and say, hey, even though I went through all this pain, look at all these people here that I can now serve and give value to. I'm sure there's some real validation there.
Correct. And as you said, Tyler, also, it is again, these are all implicit, I don't know if it's the right word, but subtle helps. But point being, it helps further on what I'm trying to do as a business. So yes, people are coming and they're paying money to hear great speakers, they learn. It also promotes the Ramon Ray brand, and you've seen it, what I'm doing, it's marketed, et cetera. And then to the silent people, meaning my sponsors, they're seeing it. Wow, Ramon did a big event, as it were. So it helps in those things too. Kind of a marketing expense in a way. I wouldn't suggest people do it for that reason. But meaning when you see Audi or the Virgin, right, they do the big blimp and all that. Did sales come from that? No, but we can't help remember the guy who fell from space with Red Bull on his behind.
Right. So actually, that brings up the question then, is your event a profit center for your business, or is it kind of the loss leader, big, serve your community as well as serve your sponsors and be present and visible?
Great question. I haven't run my numbers exactly on this, and I think we've talked, Tyler, numbers is a weak area of mine, but I believe this event 2017 will break even or make a bit. But to answer the question, no, it's not a profit center at all. It has been in some years. So we've made some great profit. Really good profit, Tyler, like yum, some years. But if I had to average the 12 years over, it probably is a break even or a bit more. And that's why for me, when I talk to my team or others advising me, I'm like, you know what? It's big. It's fun. I'm working with cool people. And weeks after or months after, it resounds positive things. Right. So I'd say it probably is a not loss leader, but whatever the word, it breaks even a little more, but definitely not a money maker, as it were.
Yeah. Gotcha. And so your revenue in the Ramon Ray brand and business is sponsorships, helping those businesses reach, helping the bigger brands reach the small business owner, right? That's if you had to boil it down to what Smart Hustle does, that's
Sure.
what you connect. That's the bridge you connect.
Yeah, and we can talk about numbers if you want, but the point is, I break it down 3 ways. Speaking is one part of the revenue I get. Probably my content is another part of it, meaning Twitter chats, webinars, people paying me for sponsored posts, anything like that is another third. And the other third, I'm blanking out. I know it's a third.
It's probably the one that pays all the bills too.
Yeah.
So you covered your speaking, your content.
Exactly. Speaking content, and then I would speaking content and could be events. If you're talking about gross revenue, probably event as far as gross revenue.
Sure,
again, learning from the people who do accounting. I'm trying to learn this better. Profit.
Right.
So I'm trying to get better at it.
Yeah, it's amazing how much energy we can spend on things, and when we set back and look at them, we realize, man, that may have produced a lot of like pomp and circumstance, but it didn't increase the bottom line, right? And it's tough. Like, we don't want to become jaded to the people, right? We still want to remember, hey, this is about human interaction, but a business is there to generate profits. It has to, or it can't survive long term.
Right. And Tyler, you're so true. I've invested money, for example, in PR and things like this, and it does work. I've been on TV and radio, and I had to think about it because, not that everyone shouldn't do it, but for paying what I was paying at the time for it, I realized, what it was really for?
Yeah.
It was really, I was patting myself.
Yeah.
And it felt good. Oh, look, Ma, but I had to look, okay, Ramon, you've done this 2, 3, 4 times, and I have people who can get me on like boom, but I said, it's not really turning the dial. And it's good. If I was a bigger company or doing some other goals or a book launch, I'd do it. But just for Ramon with no, the insider leads in or something, it wasn't easy.
Well, and I think there's a time where you need to do some of that just so you have the accolades, you have the credibility. You can say, hey, I've been on this. To do it repeatedly without a goal or without a tie towards revenue, then it just becomes kind of pats on the back and doing it for the recognition, which is fun, but I have not been able to cash a recognition check yet.
No,
so I'm working on figuring out where the bank is for those. So I think I talked about this the other day on kind of a Facebook video that I did, where it was talking about what I called the worst kind of failure, and it's the failure that's disguised as success. And it's kind of those kinds of things, the things that may look flashy to people that don't know the numbers of our business, the things that may because then they steal our time from doing the things that can actually create the long-term benefits and the long-term revenue.
Absolutely. What was that you said again? You called it the profit. What was that again? I loved it. I want to use that. What was that?
I don't know. I just said
Steelers. You said something. Profit something or the masking profit or something.
Okay. Well, I just said success disguised.
Success disguises. I love that.
Failure disguised as success. Right. That's the worst. What I call the worst kind of failure, because it steals time.
Yes.
Right. Like, you'll spend a ton of time on something that looks successful to everyone around you because no one's telling you, why are you still doing this?
Correct.
Like, oh, it looks great, man. Your event's huge and this is huge and you're just everywhere I look. And in the background, like, there's no profits and you're just
exactly. And that's so important. I was just looking at my numbers this year. I posted on that pretty publicly, and I was just, again, as you said, my point is that thankfully things are working well. Out of the 10 things I'm doing, half skyrocket, half are like duds. But that's why I do 10 things. But it's so true, man. You get that check, 100,000 or 10,000. You better make sure, hopefully, you got the check for 10,000. You didn't have to do anything, and you're pocketing $9,999.
Right.
The check for 100,000, I don't know. If you had to give up, whatever that 97% of it, not so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had that conversation once with somebody, like, it's really not about, it certainly is not about your top line revenue. It's about your net profits. And you see these companies that generate massive top line revenues, but are running really, really thin margins. Yes. And when the economy shifts, they can't handle that. They're not prepared for that. And so to me, I really like your concept and the theory or the concept around smart hustle, right? Because it means to me, when I see that term, it means being aware of hustling, not just for hustling's sake, but hustling with intent and with, measurable reasons. Is that right? I don't know. I just made that up.
No, I like it. No, and that's exactly why I did it, Tyler. I was thinking, and the reason I did it, by the way, I saw that Inc. and a great company, Entrepreneur, there's many great magazines we all love and read, and they're great. But I just said, you know what? I would love to just try to do something just for us hustlers that just covers entrepreneurship. Not Elon Musk, not Barack Obama, nothing else. So that's why I started it. And you're right. It was really, I see myself constantly in the hustle. I love hard work. I love the grind. And, maybe some days I shouldn't love it so much.
Sure.
Point being, you have to add the smarts to it. And we learned this at Shark Tank. So, I mean, we learned from you too, but a big show like that, Shark Tank, we learned from all the time, right? There's
Yep.
dumb money, there's smart money, there's, I work so hard. And what does Robert Herjavec have to tell somebody? But darling, or sir, you're losing money off of each cell phone case.
Right, right.
So
my favorite part of this show so far is the random things you're pulling up from the desk. It's like Gallagher pulling up like random like watermelons, and he's like smashing them. It's great. See, that's why we do video. You get that extra layer.
I love
of
it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, what is if someone's listening, they're hearing this conversation between a couple of smaller entrepreneurs, how we hustle, how we get things done. If someone comes to you and says, Ramon, like I'm getting started in business, but I feel worn out. Like, I know you're not like that kind of a motivator, but what would you say to them?
I think probably a few things. I would say, can you write on a list, a piece of paper? Don't type it on your cool phone and all that. Piece of paper. Everything you're doing, everything in general. What are the big things I'm doing? That's one. Prioritize them. As far as business, what I did just last week or two, Tyler, as far as a business is concerned, tie money to it. What are you doing that's generating the most, either gross revenue or profit? Just rewind what we just said, guys. And
sure. Yeah.
So that's kind of what I would do, because you'll find that oftentimes we're spinning our wheels. I do this, Tyler. We spin our wheels to do things, A, we don't need to do, 2, that are not profitable, or really are drawing a negative in our life. So in a nutshell, it happens to me. But I find that if you're not getting good sleep enough, some days you have to stay up late. And the other thing I'd add, Tyler, don't forget about delegation. I know it's a cost to hire that extra person, but man, I hired a executive assistant, virtual assistant, project manager, depends what you want to call her. Her name is Jamie, and she transformed my business. Meaning just simple things like forwarding her a calendar or helping with things. It's helped.
Cool. Yeah, and I think that's important. Be willing to accept help. Be willing to hire the specialist that does what you do. Because so many times, like, we think hustle means being like doing everything. And I think hustle means being willing to do anything that's necessary, but not doing everything, right? So there's a difference there, and it's a clear line. You got to be willing to roll up your sleeves, get in the trenches, do whatever it takes. But if there's an opportunity for you to hire the expert, or hire a specialist, or let somebody else take some of that load off,
right,
that's going to just free you up and allow you to get back to focusing on the core, your main strengths, and really like focus on the money, right? Focus on what's actually going to grow the business.
Absolutely.
So as we get a little bit towards the end here, I'm a big believer that business is about creating lifestyle and giving you the freedom to live the life you want. What's one major item on Ramon's bucket list that you're going to accomplish in the next 12 months?
Well, Taylor, Tyler, I will tell you one. It's kind of been already announced, but I'll announce it. As they say, what do we do? President, are you going to break news on the show? I mean, so it's announced this, but I'll just talk about my India trip. So that's coming up sooner than the next 12 months. But I've wanted to go to India. I can remember a few weeks ago, Tyler, I was calling Malaysia. Hey, can you hire Ramon? Can Ramon come and speak? Lo and behold, nutshell of it is I'll be going by the U.S. State Department is inviting me to go to India. That's the short of it. So
very cool.
India is probably the biggest thing I'll be doing, my event. And I live a fulfilled life, man. I love travel. And if I can travel and speak, I love it. So I must say, honestly, living the life I want. I just want to keep doing it smarter. That's
awesome.
It.
Awesome. And so keep doing it smarter, and people go to SmartHustle.com. That's one of the places where they can learn more about you. Where else would they go?
Yeah, if you want to go to RamonRay.com as well, but RamonRay.com or SmartHustle.com or, anywhere on the net.
Those are the two brands we talked about, and that's it. I have a bonus question now for you, since, you just brought up travel and that sort of thing. And this is the bonus tip that, you have a networking tip that comes down to travel. And you said, some of your best networking happens, and you were just talking about this in one of our groups the other day. So tell us a little bit about, do you know where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I know where you're going. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that, because I love that as like a networking loophole, right?
Sure. I was 12 o'clock at night, or red-eye flight, whatever time it was, 11 o'clock at night, 12, in the West Coast. Sure. Standing on line, there's a guy in front of me. He's just chilling. He just kind of just standing there. I knew he wasn't doing anything important, wasn't engrossed or something. Hi, my name is Ramon. How are you? Hey, what's up? My name is Jack. Chat. We bonded. He happened to work at a big place that starts with comedy and ends in Central, on and on and on. So my point is that I don't know if it led anywhere, Tyler. It may not. But to what Tyler's bringing out, ladies and gentlemen, I always say hello. I'm going back to never eating alone. I think the book was about that. I have a habit of, hey, my name is Ramon. And I don't do it some creepy way to hear people. And the other thing, to be specific, when you travel a lot, often you're in premium seating, just what happens. And I found that in those seats are people like us, clearly people who are earning something. And those are the ones I'll turn around again. Hey, my name is Ramon. Welcome to the VIP row. Or how are you today? Want free peanuts? And
absolutely.
Some people will chuckle and smile and we're done, which is cool. Others, oh, my name is Tyler. Where are you going? Oh, you have a podcast called BizNinja. What's that all about, huh? And we talk. So that's what I do.
Well, one, I love that because it's really just about staying human. Just because you're out and about, like you got to be vulnerable, be open, just be willing to start that conversation. And I've had some really interesting, similar experiences, not with first class travel, but with, I was at a big event in Los Angeles and it was really loud. They had after the main event, they had like a DJ out by the pool with free hors d'oeuvres and stuff, right? So everyone was out there and I was just like, man, it's really loud. It's not really my scene. So I just went into, at the Marriott, the club lounge, just kind of sat down and relaxed and started having conversations with people there who also didn't really love the noise. And I ended up over that 3-day event, like most of the really high connecting that I did happened in that, in that club lounge where it was just kind of people more like me and not from like an arrogant standpoint, but just doers and high achievers and people that I was able to really connect with. And it just fascinating. It was really cool hearing you say that. And because I, as an accidental networking thing, has been just something that's really worked for me.
Absolutely, Ty. I love that. But it goes back to the point, people like us do this. Doesn't mean that everybody like us doesn't do this or that, hang out here or there. But humans are eerily similar to a way. They gel in different ways. So
right. Yeah. Yeah. Birds of a feather, right? So, all right. Really appreciate you, Ramon. I know you're out there smart hustling. And so I appreciate you taking time to come on BizNinja and to chat with all these people out here. So appreciate you coming on. And now you, my wonderful listeners, it's your turn to go out and do something.
Thank you for listening to BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio with Tyler Jorgenson. Please make sure to subscribe so you're first to hear new interviews and episodes. If you found this podcast to be valuable, please share it with a friend. Don't forget to visit our online dojo at bizninja.com to claim your reward for listening to the show.